Not every great movie needs millions. These 8 movies prove that weird, cheap, and creative can sometimes be the best mix. B-movies have been around since the early days of cinema, but one film helped define the genre more than any other: Plan 9 from Outer Space. Directed by Ed Wood, now famous as the so-called worst director of all time, the film follows aliens who bring the dead back to life, ghouls, to stop humans from building a doomsday weapon. That's the logic behind Plan 9, though the film itself doesn't always follow any logic at all. Scenes jump, dialogue repeats, and props wobble, but somehow it all comes together in a way that's hard to forget. The sets are cheap, the acting stiff, and the special effects barely functional. At one point, the alien spaceship is clearly a toy dangling on a string. Horror legend Bela Lugosi appears in a few silent shots before being replaced mid-film by a stand-in covering his face with a cape. It shouldn't work, but it does, in its own bizarre way. Beyond the Valley of the Dolls came out of one of the strangest collaborations in Hollywood. Pulitzer Prize-winning film critic Roger Ebert discovered the films of Russ Meyer while looking for a skin flick with as much nudity as possible. Ebert often described himself as a breast man, and Meyer's over-the-top sexploitation style caught his attention right away. But beyond the nudity, Ebert saw something more: real talent behind the camera. He became determined to work with Meyer, eventually writing 4 of his films, including this one. Despite the title, Beyond the Valley of the Dolls isn't a sequel, but a parody of the original Valley of the Dolls and Hollywood cliches. It follows a girl rock band's chaotic rise and fall at the end of the 1960s. The film is packed with absurd sex scenes, cartoonish characters, and a tone that constantly shifts between intentional parody and pure chaos. That strange mix is exactly what helped it become a cult classic. Unlike polished heroes like Superman or Spider-Man, the Toxic Avenger is anything but graceful. He's a disfigured, mop-wielding mutant born from toxic waste, and he's Traumaville's unlikely savior. It all starts with Melvin Ferd, a 98-pound janitor working at a gym full of bullies. One cruel prank sends him crashing into a drum of radioactive sludge. Instead of dying, Melvin transforms into the Toxic Avenger, a hideous but super strong creature who sets out to clean up the town, literally by taking on drug dealers, dirty cops, and street thugs. The Toxic Avenger became the face of Trauma Entertainment, the B-movie studio famous for low-budget chaos and boundary-pushing content. The film was a hit on the midnight circuit and gained a massive cult following. It even spawned sequels, a surprisingly wholesome kids' cartoon, and a stage musical. It's messy, violent, and silly, but that's what makes it fun. This movie doesn't just make fun of superhero stories, it takes them apart and does something completely different. Released in 1986, Chopping Mall is a low-budget horror comedy set entirely in a shopping mall. Directed by Jim Wynorski and co-written with Steve Mitchell, the film was originally titled Killbots and didn't get much attention on release. The story takes place in Park Plaza Mall, where 3 security robots have just been installed. They're armed and programmed to stop intruders, but on the same night, a group of teenagers sneaks in to throw a party in a furniture store. Of course, things go wrong. The robots malfunction and start killing the teens one by one. The movie plays like a typical slasher, but with a sci-fi twist and a heavy dose of 1980s mall culture. The Blob is a remake of the 1958 sci-fi horror classic. It flopped at the box office, but later became a cult hit on home video. Directed by Chuck Russell, the film updates the original with slick 80s style and some of the decade's best practical effects. Kevin Dillon plays Brian Flagg, a rebellious biker, and Shawnee Smith is Meg Penny, a smart and fearless teen who joins him to fight a mysterious purple blob that's dissolving everything in its path. The creature effects by Tony Gardner are graphic and gooey, pushing the limits of what could be done with prosthetics at the time. The movie plays with tropes from teen horror and exploitation films, and even hints at the kind of meta-horror that would take off in the 90s. Killer Klowns from Outer Space is a strange and creative horror comedy built around a single wild idea. What if clowns were actually aliens? Instead of supernatural killers or maniacs, these clowns arrive in a spaceship shaped like a giant circus tent and start capturing humans, wrapping them in cotton candy cocoons, presumably to eat them. Created by the Chiodo brothers, the film plays with the contrast between childlike imagery and violent horror. Popcorn turns into flesh-eating creatures. Shadow puppets become deadly. Every part of the clown theme is turned into something dangerous. The film stands out not because of its execution, which is often clumsy, but because of how detailed and consistent the concept is. There's a clear sense that a lot of care went into imagining this bizarre world, even if the filmmaking itself doesn't always keep up. Tremors is a creature feature with real staying power. Set in the dusty town of Perfection, Nevada, the film follows two handymen, Val and Earl, who discover giant underground monsters, later named graboids, threatening the local community. With the help of a seismologist, they try to outsmart the creatures and survive. Though it had an $11 million budget and major studio backing, Tremors flopped in theaters. But it found new life on home video, quickly becoming a cult favorite. Director Ron Underwood clearly loves classic monster movies, and it shows in the film's practical effects, clever setup, and even its original title, Land Sharks. Bubba Ho-Tep has one of the strangest and most unforgettable plots in horror history. Elvis Presley, played by Bruce Campbell, and a man who claims to be John F. Kennedy, played by Ossie Davis, are alive and living in a Texas nursing home. Together, they must battle an ancient mummy who feeds on the souls of the elderly. Directed by Don Coscarelli, known for the Phantasm series, the film is based on a novella by Joe R. Lansdale. While the concept is absurd, the story is handled with surprising depth. Campbell delivers a convincing and heartfelt performance as an aging Elvis, and Davis brings dignity and humor to his role as JFK, who insists he was died and hidden away. What makes Bubba Ho-Tep stand out is its mix of bizarre comedy and genuine emotion. It doesn't mock old age or mental illness, but instead offers a quirky tale of two forgotten men reclaiming their sense of purpose.